Good morning, flower friends. It's Madonna from Eastside Flower Farm, Los Molinos, California, Zone 9. Today, I am getting ready for my dry flower sale. So I have been drying flowers all season, put them up in I have a drying shed, and I've been putting them up in there. And today, I'm finally gonna bundle them up and see if we can get some sold, because I don't store them over winter. So whatever I don't sell today, and then I have one more sale, a barn sale here in Tehama. I'm gonna do a barn sale, and I'll get rid of the rest of them, and I make pretty little dried flower bouquets and stuff with them, and some wreaths and lots of different crafts. So I'll have it today at my house, and then in October I'll do the barn sale, and then I will be wrapped up for the year with those sales. So we're out here looking at my dahlia patch. Oh my gosh, look at this, beautiful. Where's she at? Okay, this is a little hard. Oh, there's little Miss Cafe au lait. So my dahlias, I'm gonna flip this around so you. My dahlias, there's the Cafe au lait. Isn't she pretty? So we struggled with our dahlias this year because our weather has been really fantastic, but we've been hot, and then we've been cold, and then we've been hot, and then we've been cold, and that's been kind of brutal on our flowers. It's been wonderful for us because there's been, last few years we've had 17, 18, 19 consecutive days of over 100 degrees, and this year has not been. Look at that, beautiful. Oh my gosh. And so the dahlias kind of just struggled, and I was glad to hear that I was not the only flower farmer or dahlia grower, period, that was struggling. Many people have asked me if I've had a hard time with them this year, and I did. But I want to tell you, they were so ugly in like the end of June, 1st of July. I was ready to actually just be done with them. And then Dave Dowling, who's a flower farmer, he was a flower farmer back east, and now he works for, I think, Edney Ball Company. He said that he would chop them almost down, like cut them back really, really good, like maybe July, and then he would let them come back for their fall bloom. So I did that because they were ugly, and I cut them back to probably 6 inches, every single one of them, and I have buds everywhere. So I'm hoping that will be good, and all we need to do is isn't that pretty? All we need to do is keep the just not freeze, keep it warm enough so they keep growing. So I did put shade cloth over them because, like I said, at that time when they were struggling in late June, early July, I figured I didn't know if it was water that I wasn't giving them enough of, and I have drip line tape. Ooh, look at that ugly. I got to get rid of that remnants of spider mites. So I didn't know if I wasn't watering them enough, and they all have a drip line tape to them, or if they were just getting scorched from the sun. So we decided to put some shade cloth over them. So we have each of my beds here. We put up posts so that I could wire them, net them. I net them all in so they don't flop over, and that just made it perfect. We put some PVC pipe caps up here on them, and then we put the netting right over it. So they've done really well. So I might actually have a productive fall harvest of dahlias after all. So I did learn this year, these pots that I have, we just took some culverts and cut them in half. That one's got a little leak. I got to fix that. We took some 20-foot culverts, cut them in half, and that's what I used for my raised beds for the dahlias. So I think these ones are too shallow because there's gravel on the bottom of them, and the plants in here just don't do as well. So now we have the bigger culverts over here, and there's, as you can see, there's a lot of dirt in here, and these ones have done much better. That is just the prettiest thing. So I think I'm going to ditch these ones this year. I'll put another plant in there and give them a little bit more space. So they are doing really well. We've had a really rough year with them. So, fingers crossed they'll do better, because like I said, probably the end of July, I was thinking I just wasn't going to deal with them and I would go on to something else, because they are, like, those ones aren't doing anything. They like toast. Well, I'll see if those ones. Anyway, I kind of just left this alone. So I was thinking that I was actually going to just kind of ditch them, because they're a lot of maintenance. They're probably the one thing that I spend the most time on. And that includes my roses. Look at this little Joey. Isn't that just beautiful? That creamy, peachy, beautiful color. I just love it. Chrysler Imperial. Long, tall, red roses. And there's little Steve Cat. Hi, Mommy. So these roses, people are really they think roses are high maintenance. And even though you need to tend to them and deadhead them, see the little Joey, isn't he just beautiful? Dahlias to me are way, way more difficult to work with. So my roses are just incredible. I have 300-ish. This is all dressed up. This is another one of my absolute favorites. Of course, this isn't the best example right here. But I have about 300 roses. And I have, I think, almost 40 ordered for this winter. I plant them as bare root. And so I am going to obviously extend my rose yard to, look at that. Here, this is going to be a perennial bed. So Wally dug this up for me. I'm going to do my perennials over here on this side and my roses and probably lots of other stuff. Here's my iris bed that's doing really good this year. Oh, there's Steve rolling in the iris. Hi, Moms. And so this is Honey Dijon. Oh, here's a good example. Look at that. So it's kind of like a light orangey, light mustard, beigey. It's a really different color, but it's so pretty. This one, and Distant Drum, has got to be one of my favorites, and I don't see her bloomed at all right now. So I will keep giving you a tour. So here, I actually cut off of this a lot, the Buddleia, or butterfly bush. It is so beautiful, and this actually makes a really good cut flower. So then I have the Eden Climbing Rose, lots of sage and salvias. These are Greggii. And so I was just going to take you on a little trip before I get over to the shop and start getting ready to do the cut flowers. And this is bamboo. Ooh, I want to show you something. So my husband met this wonderful man. Okay, brief pause. Here's the rose hips. This bush is already getting the rose hips that I hadn't deadhead, and I was letting it get the little rose hips. And isn't that gorgeous? So if you kind of clean that up and take the leaves off, it'd be great in an arrangement. Aren't those pretty? Oh, they're so pretty. Okay, so back to what I was saying. My husband met this wonderful man named Chow, probably in April, and he grows giant bamboos. And they're clumping. So not all bamboos are on rhizomes that run and spread, for miles and miles all over your property. These actually clump. So he said that is, okay, you have to look at this. This has been just since April. This was basically, it was this. He cut this for us. And we planted it and didn't have any growth on it. So now since then, we have little babies. So what they do is they don't have rhizomes. They just put out babies right next to them. So here's one. Here's two more. So what he also told us, or three more, actually 4 more. So there's 5 new babies in here. How exciting. So what he told us, what Chow told us is, however they come out from the ground, like this circumference right here, this is how they're going to stay. So they're not going to get any wider than this, but they're going to get really tall. So this one, it's still my hands are small, but it's still a pretty good size. You know, it's going to be great. So I guess what we can do, we haven't done it yet, but we're going to, is I'm assuming in the fall or early spring, we're going to have to cut down into here and take out each one of these individual clumps. And so we can replant these, and then they will throw little babies next to them. But we have them contained right now just because we wanted to see how far out the clumps really do grow. But it is just amazing. Now look at this one. So we had gotten 5 and we got 6 and 3 of them died. But we have all these new babies. So this one has 2 new babies, and this one's got to be probably almost 4.5 feet tall. So I just love them. So we're trying to figure out where we want to put them. Right now the containers are great. So this one has 3 babies. So 1, 2, 3 babies. And this one's got to be almost 7 feet tall. And that's just within like the last 3 weeks. It just shot up there, which is just amazing. So I think they're great. I love them, and I can't wait to have more. So we'll just, we'll probably go back to him and ask him how to do it properly, because he's got, I think Walt said, maybe an acre of just this big giant bamboo forest, and I can't wait to go see it. So we're just going to take a little stroll through my garden. This is my actual home garden. This is not the cut flower garden. And so I haven't really started videoing my yard yet, but I guess you guys are going to be a part of my new garden club. And so I will take you not only to the cut flowers, but also to my yard. So here's my tree roses. Here's that Mr. Lincoln long stem rose. They need to be deadhead. Okay, so I have to tell you, this is my favorite smelling white rose. I just bought it last year, I believe, at the Rock Garden in Roberta here in California. And it is called Sugar Moon. So there it is, Sugar Moon. It is by far the most beautiful smelling rose. It's kind of like a gardenia. I don't know, but it's incredible. So white roses are really hard to grow here in California, and probably in most areas, because we're so hot. They get sun damage very quickly. So I try to cut them when they're just coming out in bud. I try to come out and cut them. And the smell on those, the Sugar Moon, I think if you guys want a white rose that's out of this world, Sugar Moon's what you want to look for. And I believe it is from Weeks Roses, Weeks, here in California, Southern California. They grow them. So now we're gonna pop over to the cut flowers. And this is one of my favorite too, Dick Clark. It's a beautiful rose. Oh, there's too much light right there. So here is my drying shed. So I have just taken out all my dried flowers for the year. And I took out, so what I do is I come in here and I just put strings all the way across, and then I hang up my dry flowers. But I just cleaned it out last week, which is why I'm doing a dry flower sale today at my shop here. So then I get the luxury of walking over this wonderful little bridge, or irrigation ditch. Isn't that the coolest thing? I love water. I love flowing water. So I have already started taking down my summer beds and prepping my fall beds for my fall planting, my hardy annuals. So right here, I've already got this all prepped. I got my beds covered. I use our lawn clippings in the center for weed control, and that works for a little bit, and then it doesn't. So these 3 beds, and actually I'm going to do a 4th bed because I just tore out 2 more rows here that it just hasn't been tilled yet. So I'm going to start planting all these in October, like mid-October, 6 weeks before our first frost, which is usually for us between December 1st and December 15th. And last year, I think it was like December 7th. So I'll have all my fall stuff, my winter hardy annuals planted by the 20th of October. And so here is my summer garden that I'm getting ready to wrap up on. All my little gomphrenias, my celosia. Those are the coolest little things. Marigold, zinnias. So all these, they're starting to slow down because we've had a lot cooler morning, and these guys like the heat, so they're starting to fizzle out. I have tons of scabiosa, and a lot have gone to seed. Feverfew, that's its second flush, is really going down. So I would be getting a second flush of these Lisianthus, except for, well, they're coming. They're not as long. And one of the reasons is because this row of old dried up straw flower is shading it. So I'm going to come in and cut that all down today. So these are my mums that will come in, late October, early November. And I did them outside. I think they're supposed to be for a tunnel for the cut flowers. But I'm going to take my chance because we are in zone 9. And our frost is always a little bit later in the year. I'm taking my chances to see if I can get them without them freezing. So, fingers crossed. This is my last succession of sunflowers. I put these in the ground August 1st, and they're pro cut. These are the Horizon. I love the Horizon because the little heads face upward. See how they go straight up? So when I'm putting them in a bouquet, they're so much easier because they go straight up towards the sun instead of flopping over like a lot of sunflowers do. So these are Pro Cut Orange. They have a 60-day growth period from seed to flower. And so I wanted to push it and see how far in the year, how late in the year that I can actually get sunflowers. So August 1st, I figure would be my last to see if I can get them by October, and I don't think we're going to have any problem at all. So they all have their little heads on them, and I think that probably within the next couple weeks they're going to start lifting the petal off the flower and I can start harvesting. So this is my very last succession of the year. These are reds, and these, where they get taller, is the Horizon, the orange, the basic sunflower color. So with that, can't wait for those. So I am still watering right now because we need to. I'm just watering about every other day now because our temperatures have stayed in the 90s. They haven't been up into the hundreds. So I'm actually going to shut this off while I'm here. Okay, little. So we have, these are my 2 beds, palm trees, and then that line, I don't know where it goes to. Somewhere over there. So, look at this. It's my frosted explosion, and it's exploded, and I did not get it cut back, so I'm going to have seeds everywhere, which means this next spring I'll have tons and tons of volunteer, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but for right now, I will do that also this weekend, just clear it out. And I love this. It's little savanna grass, or isn't that pretty? It's great. So my little echinacea, and then columbine. There's only one little flower there right now because they're done for the year. So I am not going to cut these down. I'm going to leave the little seed heads for the birds. I'm going to let these guys go ahead and overwinter because they just dry up, and the little birds love these. So these are not my main yard, so I'm okay with them just sitting and let the birds enjoy them during the fall. So now we're going to walk back over. So that's where the cut flowers are. So I just figured I'd take you guys on a little tour through the yard, through the property. We have 10 acres here in Los Molinos, and I probably garden on almost an acre now, and that's everything included. That's my perennials, that's my roses, That's my cut flowers. And it's just me that does it. You know, my husband, he does all the heavy work. Like if I need something moved or dug or tilled, he does that. But the rest of it, it's my job. And I also am a full-time hairdresser. And we have an 11-year-old, and I also homeschool him on the weekend. Okay, so these are knockout roses. I'm taking them out. This is their 3rd, 4th, 5th year, and they just look really cruddy. They do really well their first bloom, and then they just don't do anything for me, and they just look really terrible. So I'm going to take these out this year, and I'm going to put, I'm not sure what I'm going to put here. I have a couple ideas, but I'm not settled on it yet. And so there's a wisteria. It's on an old geodome. So a great way of recycling your kids' toys. Braden played on this for probably about a year, and then he never touched it. So I said, hey, let's put it over here, and we use it for the wisteria for him. So that holds up really well. Salvia. We have lots of these concrete pots. I painted, piece of wind blew in some newspaper. I painted a little scenery on here. But we have lots of these concrete pots that we got, and I painted it. And if you can tell, here's another knockout rose. It's going. It's going to get knocked right out of the pot is what it's going to do. So we have lots of these concrete pots all over, and I always paint them when I bring them home, when Wally brings them home. We have probably 30 of them, and they are the best raised beds ever, and they will be here for eternity because they're solid and they're great, and they were a really, really big chore to move in. So in case you're wondering how we got them, a truck and trailer and a tractor. That's the only way we can move them. Here's a little English rose. Isn't she pretty? These ones don't have it. And that was Winchester Cathedral. This is my favorite spray rose. It's Bonica, and I love it. It is so pretty and so abundant, and it's my favorite. And then we have Guara, or Gara. You know, I think it is Gara. Rhymes with Laura, Gara. And so this is probably my best salvia that I have, and the bees are always all over it. They are just happy, happy little guys. Isn't he great? So this is a great, if you need bees in your yard, oh, look at that. It's a hummingbird moth. See if I can get it. Oh, where'd he go? Darn, he's so fast. Oh my gosh, look at him. Oh, that's incredible. I've not seen one in the middle of the day yet. Yay! And the bees are with so if you want bees in your yard, you really need to have lantana, salvia, and lavender. And actually, Nepeta cat mint. Not catnip, cat mint. Here's the lantana. And the butterflies love lantana too. So that is just a little stroll of our yard. And I will see you in a little bit over at the shop while we put up our cut flowers. All right, thanks, friends. Bye-bye.